if we think of the first kind of revolution, or one of the first revolutions, is a revolution of agriculture that promoted or made possible humongous population spike.
Phails at philosophy.
I think I read this in that book, Guns, Germs, and Steel, where they talk about agriculture being, something that caused a huge population spike. But the people that were new, like this huge population, was now nourished less so than the previous smaller population because of the homogeny of what they were eating. Because they were eating mostly wheat. They were eating mostly these things that they grew in large quantities. So they didn't have the diversity of food. And so they had teeth decay, and they had different symptoms, physiological symptoms of being less healthy than their predecessors. Now, I would argue, as we go from agriculture, where our predecessors are stronger than the new folks, this agricultural-based people, now we have another revolution of industrialization. And I would say that in order to put all these people in these industrial machines, we then again have a group of people, while greater in number, are less robust than the people that came before them. So we're getting more people.
What is your standard of robust?
I mean, I guess I get there. This all came to me yesterday because I've interviewed a guy who, and during our interview, started talking about just the impacts of capitalism on his particular area, private equity buying up all these things, and it just seems like industrialization is really not great for the masses, in a way that agriculture wasn't great for the masses.
But what is the standard by which you make that assessment?
I think it would be mental health, physical health.
But if we look at where we have metrics for example, physical health, we see with industrialization, extension of lifespan, reduction of disease. So we see a lot of
some diseases. But what if they live longer, but they have more anxiety, more stress, more,
You think we have more anxiety and stress than someone who's living in a food system where your access to that food is very much predetermined by seasonal fluctuations and do you see what I'm saying? Like even in a pre-agricultural space. So my argument would be that we do need to understand that things fundamentally change at these moments, right? And I think they often change for the better in some ways and for the worse in other ways.
Yeah, the question is, do I think a simple life where one has a real relationship with... The problem for me is it's gotten so convoluted. Life is about very basic things: eating, going to potty, having sex, sleeping, having community. Right? It's five, maybe. Are there other things that I'm missing here? Drinking water, it's pretty basic. And now, to do all of those things, you
need a freaking calendar.
You don't dig in the dirt. You don't pull any food out of the dirt. You don't hunt anything. You go to this computer to do social things. It seems like there's so many steps in between all of the basic things of life, and that's supposed to make our life simpler, but I don't think it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is merit to the idea that it's not making our life simpler. I do think we can easily, partly because we're not living it, overestimate how
nice it was.
Right? We can, and the reality is that and part of what you have to ask yourself is when agriculture happens, why does it take off? Right? Because it does provide a set of...
People want to have babies. They want to have more people. We want to have more people.
Yeah, but I think, but that's the point. Is like, what is it satisfying? It's taking the day-to-day struggle to access food in a pre-agricultural system, which, even though you spend less time doing it because you don't have as much time available to do it, you can limit the risk of death from starvation
Yeah.
by migrating to agriculture. And yeah, that means you can have more people because you're limiting that death to starve, especially for the most vulnerable, babies and toddlers, right?
Yeah.
You know, so those things are real, but that doesn't negate the notion that things fundamentally do shift in real ways. And I think that there's a level at which I resist kind of going back to an idea,
Romanticizing. Yeah, I feel that in what
but
you're saying.
but that doesn't necessarily negate the diagnosis that something fundamentally happens at these moments that restructure how we relate to things like food, how we relate to things like how we take care of each other. And whatever those transformations this is with, if we accept a kind of evolutionary narrative,
Mm-hmm.
this is with a set of organisms, human beings, who, going back to your point about life is simple,
Yeah.
who are, as an organism, oriented around food, reproduction, small, like community,
It's simple
it's a
stuff.
50 to 100 person community, right? And so the information, like just think about the information management task you have for your social life today to have community. It's not just about finding the 50 to 100 people you can have that relationship, like community with, but managing, you know, what is really a layer of like 300, 400 communities you might be involved with when you get down to it, each contributing a whole set of relationships. So you're more of a node in a network than a member of a group.